The rain fell in relentless sheets, blurring the streetlights into hazy streaks across my windshield. I cruised down Main Street, Montgomery, Alabama, the hum of tires and the rhythmic slap of wipers dulling the day's wait. I wasn't rushing, just savoring the quiet after a long shift. Then red and blue lights flared in my rearview mirror. My gut tightened. No speeding, no expired tags, no broken taillights. But in this skin, in this town, 1968, a black man driving a clean sedan was reason enough for a stop. I pulled over, rolled down the window, and placed my hands at 10 and 2, steady as stone. Officer Thomas Hendrick, a tall, broad man with a shaved head and a strut that screamed authority, approached, his boots splashing through puddles. Rain dripped from his hat, but his smirk cut sharper than the cold. "License and registration," he barked, no greeting, no pretense of courtesy. "Evening, officer," I said, voice calm, handing over my documents. "Mind telling me why I'm stopped?" His eyes narrowed. "Creeping down the road too slow, looks suspicious." I almost laughed, but kept my tone even. "It's pouring, sir. I'm being careful." He leaned closer, rain sliding down his jacket, his gaze raking my car's interior like a hunter. "Hiding something, pal?" "Nothing to hide," I said, meeting his stare. "Everything's in order." He didn't respond, just took my license and stalked back to his cruiser. In the rear view, I watched him, unease prickling my neck. His posture screamed escalation, like he'd already decided this wouldn't end with a warning. I'd seen his type before, cops who thrived on power, who saw my skin as a challenge. But I wasn't just James Carter, mechanic turned deputy chief. I was a man who'd learned to navigate this world with precision, not fear. Hendrick returned, his jaw tight, rain masking the sweat on his brow. "Step out of the car," he ordered. "For what reason?" I asked, voice sharp but controlled. "Step out," he repeated, slower, his hand twitching near his holster. I sighed, opened the door, and stepped into the drizzle, my breath steaming in the cold. "Open the trunk," he said, moving to the rear. "You'll need a warrant," I replied, planting my feet. His grin was predatory, chilling. "Don't need one. Pop it." I stood firm. Ignoring me, he reached for the latch, forcing it open with a dull click. Inside, my trunk was orderly, spare tire, toolbox, and a slim gray case in the corner. His eyes lit up, predatory. "What's this?" he asked, reaching for it. "Private property," I said, voice low, warning. "Don't touch it." He flipped the latch anyway, the lid snapping open. His smugness vanished, replaced by confusion, then dread. He lifted a document, his hands trembling as rain soaked the paper. "Officer Thomas Hendrick," I said, stepping closer, my voice soft but lethal. "Care to explain why you're violating the rights of your new deputy chief?" He froze, the paper shaking in his grip. "What?" he whispered, eyes darting over the text, his dismissal notice, signed by Chief Peterson, effective immediately. This isn't real," he stammered, rain pelting his face. "Oh, it's real," I said, folding my arms. "You're done." His breath hitched, panic setting in. "Wait, I didn't know. You outrank me." I cut him off, my voice steel. "Does that matter? What if I was just a civilian, searching? Without cause, trampling rights, playing bully? Is that okay?" He flinched, the word bully striking like a whip. The truth had deeper roots. I'd joined the force 2 years ago, a rare black officer in a department rife with tension. Hendrick had a reputation. Stops without cause, harassment dressed as procedure, always targeting those who couldn't fight back. I'd watched him, noting complaints, whispered stories from the community. When I was promoted to deputy chief, I found his file, a pattern of abuses, ignored by a system too slow to act. I'd requested his termination weeks ago. The paperwork finalized that morning, placed in my trunk for delivery to HR. He'd picked the wrong night to play king. "Please," he begged, voice cracking. "I need this job." I pulled my phone from my pocket, rain beating on the screen. "You need a lesson," I said, dialing. "Chief, it's Carter. Hendricks with me. Terminate him now. Notify HR." His eyes widened, desperation spilling out. "No, wait, please." I hung up, unmoved. Badge and gun on my desk by end of shift. I took the paper from his trembling hands, slid it back into the case, and shut the trunk. "Next time you wear that uniform," I said, stepping close, forcing him to meet my gaze, "remember, it's for protecting, not intimidating." I left him standing in the rain, pale and shaken, his authority stripped. Climbing into my car, I drove off without checking the rear view. One less prejudiced cop on these streets was a start. Back at the station, I filed the report, ensuring Hendricks' record reflected every violation. By morning, his badge was gone, his name a warning in the precinct. The rain had stopped, and the streets gleamed under fresh sunlight. A small victory in a town still learning to change. I wasn't just a deputy chief. I was a man who'd turned their game against them, proving justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's as quiet as rain and just as relentless.